candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, yesterday warned the Rivers State Governor Wike and his embittered colleague governors in the party against their plot to dump him for a rival presidential candidate, saying any such decision will end their political career. This as the 5 dissenting governors were selected in Abia State Wednesday to participate in the 2022 edition of the Igbo International Christmas Retreat slated to hold in Umuahia, Abia State. Speaking through one of his campaign spokesmen, Senator Dilo Melaye, Atiku affirmed that no envy or blackmail will detract him from his aspiration towards winning the presidency next February. Meanwhile, the 5 aggrieved governors of the People's Democratic Party have returned to London, the United Kingdom, to finalize their decision on who to back for the presidency in the 2023 general elections. The 5 governors are Nyesom Wike of Rivers State, Samuel Atom of Benue State, Seyi Makinde of Oyo State, Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi of Enugu, and Okezie Ikpeazu of Abia State. The governors are canvassing for the resignation of PDP National Chairman Iyorchia Ayu before joining the campaign for the party's presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar. I mean, a lot to talk about this morning.
Yes. So as we inch closer to February 25, which is the date of the presidential and National Assembly elections, the PDP crisis doesn't seem to be waning. Unfortunately, it seems the crisis seems to be deepening as we see reports that they haven't come to a consensus or perhaps a sort of agreement as to how to solve this lingering crisis. So as was reported, as Rufai has mentioned, they've said that Senator Dino Melaye, one of the spokespersons of the PDP, had said, and I quote directly from him, attacking Atiku will cost them their political future. You don't fight a man who has done nothing to provoke you. Atiku's only offense is that he won a presidential primary transparently and openly. No man should play God. Let's look at that statement for a second. So yes, having won the presidential primaries, which, by the way, the governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, had contested and lost to Atiku Abubakar, and then following that, Governor Nyesom Wike had said that, then come up with the fact that they had the party chairman as well as the presidential candidate of the PDP were both from the same geopolitical zone. And in the spirit of fairness, equity, it shouldn't be so. However, Atiku Abubakar has also come out in the past to say that in order to change this, they're going to it's a constitutional matter whereby, according to the PDP constitution, if they're going to remove the national chairman, which is Senator Iyorchia Ayu, they're going to have to then move up the deputy national chairman, who also happens to be from the northern geopolitical zone, and then on like that. And that with the brevity of time, what they should do is that let us come to an agreement, and then following, let's focus on the elections. Post-elections, we can then begin to settle the things, the issues or the matters that they have. Put it side by side that a number of other PDP big wigs, PDP chieftains have called the parties in question, the 5 governors who formed the G5, and then on with the integrity group with other party chieftains, have come up to say that, okay, let's have a conversation. We're hurting the party, we're hurting our election chances if we continue to promote this internal wrangling. Now, beyond Wike's reason, which is that from the same geopolitical zone, Governor Samuel Atom of Benue State has also said that it's not fair to have 2 Fulani presidents back-to-back, citing the example of President Olusegun Obasanjo, who, even in the spirit of fairness, backed Musa Yar'Adua instead of James Ibori, saying that it was time to move from the south to Peter Odili, my apologies, instead of to move from the south to the north. And they said in the spirit of fairness, so this is what they've pushed for. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem as if the presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar is willing to move, neither are the G5 party members willing to move. Now, in terms of hurting their political future, I believe instead Senator Dino Melaye should see how the division in these parties would hurt the presidential candidate and the PDP as a whole in the forthcoming elections. What has been said by analysts in the past is that if the PDP presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, is seen not to be able to manage the political difference or the differences within members of his party or bring unity in the party, how then can he be trusted to manage the nation with the complexities of the feelings of the people in Nigeria? And so these are some of the questions that have come up, that sort out your party. A party divided, a house divided cannot stand. As long as these internal wranglings continue to distract from the main issue, the confidence in the party and the party's ability to manage conflict comes into question. Indeed, Seyi Makinde, during their PDP Southwest stakeholders meeting in Ibadan earlier this year, in September of this year, says, if we want to unify Nigeria, we must unify PDP first. If we want government of national unity, it must reflect in PDP. Unfortunately, it's not currently reflected in the PDP. So, for these governors, the G5 governors, and the presidential candidates, and the chairman of the party, Senator Yocha Ayu, the big question for them is, are they willing to sacrifice the chances of the PDP? Because as we said yesterday, and from the these day reports, projections, it's a very close time. We're looking at going to a runoff election. And so it could be very, the margin is quite close, that every single factor matters. It is important. Therefore, the parties involved should ask themselves, would they be willing to sacrifice the PDP's chances at the elections come February and March on the altar of differences within the party, or should they, for the interest of party, bury the hatchet? And not to forget that they're now saying that they've gone to London to determine the next course of action, so that they come out with a united front as to who is their anointed member, anointed candidate to support towards the presidential election if they do not support their own party candidates. As Dr. Abasi often says, it is, and as the reality is, it is anti-party activity. Would they be willing to exit the PDP if they do go ahead to choose another presidential candidate from a separate party? These are questions. Unfortunately, no answers yet, and we'll continue to see this unfold in the coming days.
Dr. Abati?
Well, what are the issues here? One, the G5 governors, as they are called, the dissenting, aggrieved governors who are members of the People's Democratic Party, and the larger group called the Integrity Group, which includes party chieftains, including some of the founding fathers of the party, are saying that the irreducible minimum for cooperation and peace and solidarity in the People's Democratic Party is for Senator Yocha Ayu to step down as chairman of the party. What is on the ground is that Dr. Yocha Ayu had already been given a vote of confidence by the party, the board of trustees, and other stakeholders within the party. So, Governor Nyesom Wike, who is leading the rebellion, and the Integrity Group, and the other governors, they are talking about equity, fairness, and justice. And they're saying that if the party does not shift, if Yocha Ayu does not step down, they are not going to campaign at the presidential level for the People's Democratic Party, and at the same time, they do not intend to leave the party. Now, so the situation now is that these same governors are in London having a meeting to decide who they will support, which presidential candidate they will support in January. And there are speculations that their announcement will be made latest January 5. Well, I don't know why London is so attractive to them. They're going to spend money in London, money that should be put into the Nigerian economy here, even if it is a bottle of Coca-Cola and a pepper soup that they will take wherever they choose to meet. But they are taking that money to London. But that's by the way. Now, nobody will be surprised if they decide not to back Atiku Abubakar, the presidential candidate of their party, to be consistent with the position that they have taken. Where the dilemma lies is, would they back P2B or would they back Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu of the APC? If they go either way and they abandon their own presidential candidate, that will be clearly an anti-party activity. And what will be the position of the Board of Trustees, which has the powers to determine whether a person has gone against the party and should be expelled from the party. But Wike has said, well, if anybody wants to expel them, they are ready, they are prepared. So in other words, the PDP, whatever decision that the Integrity Group takes by January, is facing a crisis, is going to that election with a crisis among the ranks. Would the 5 governors be influential enough to make any difference? The party does not think so. And hence, Dino Melaye, speaking for Atiku Abubakar issued a statement yesterday saying that the political career of those governors will end if they do not support Atiku Abubakar, and that with or without them, the party is going to win the election anyway. Well, I don't know about anybody's political career ending. People can always reinvent themselves. People can always make other choices. So nobody should predict the destiny of anybody in terms of politics. But the position that has been taken by the party is that the party can and will win the election with or without the G5 governors and the integrity group. This was the position that was articulated yesterday by Senator Dino Melaye, by Kola Ologbondiyan, who even went a step further to say, look, it doesn't matter what the posters or the governors are saying, Atiku will win in more than 24 states and get 25% in more than 24 states. This same statement, similar statement was made by Edi Olafeso in Ekiti yesterday at the inauguration of the Presidential Campaign Council of the PDP in Ekiti. This same statement was made by Timothy Osadolo, Deputy Youth Leader of the People's Democratic Party, who says that Wike and members of the G5 are not even in a position to talk about trust or loyalty. This same statement, more or less, was made by the Acting Board of Trustees Chairman, Senator Adolphus Wabara, who was speaking somewhere also in the East yesterday during the inauguration of the PDP Presidential Campaign Council. So what would be a major surprise will be if the G5 governors endorse Atiku Abubakar and they say they've reconsidered their position. That would be the big surprise. The alternative would not be surprising at all. However, Chief Olabode George, the leader of the party in the Southwest and in Lagos State, has responded to the possibility that Atiku and the party say, well, the integrity group, they can do whatever they like, the party will move ahead. Chief Olabode George says, well, he hopes that Waziri Atiku Abubakar remembers how the party was established and that he wishes him luck if he thinks that he can win election without the G5 governors and the integrity group. And that, even if he wins, it's not a problem. He's speaking for himself. We'll just, go back to his house. But in any case, in all of this, it doesn't make the People's Democratic Party look good. But you can also say that Wike and co, they may just be grandstanding, thinking that they can determine the outcome of the election. The outcome of that election, whichever way it goes, it will be determined by the people of Nigeria, the electorate. And presidential candidates should put their faith in those in the electorate. And all these messages we keep getting, some people saying they will determine who will be the president of Nigeria, whether it is G5 or it's Chief Ato Eze putting down Peter Obi's ambition. The people must get their PVC. When you have a permanent voter's card, you, the electorate, should take the power to determine who becomes president. And it's only if you have your PVC and you come out on election day that you can create this situation, prevent this situation whereby some people think that they have the power to determine who the next president should be. No individual or one group should wield such power over how many voters? 95 million registered voters.
You see, when I look at what is happening, I laugh at both parts, the G5 governors and the PDP. When politicians try to talk about fairness, it's akin to Lawrence Nomaja Akpoanini leading an anti-robbery squad. We all know what has happened in the PDP. It is a struggle for power. One group did outdo the other. Mr. Wike had been spending on the party all this while. Then he saw a bigger power in Mr. Atiku and muscled in out in the presidential race. And now he feels disgruntled. Nigerians, shine your eye. It's a power play between two top gladiators. It is not your fight. They will settle when their interests align. Mr. Wike thought he owned the structure of the PDP before. But Mr. Atiku wrestled him out. And he feels disgruntled. So when they try to put you in their fight, remember it's about these two people. And the earlier you remember that, the better it is for all of us. So when they talk fairness, yes, there's an element of fairness in the argument. If it goes north, it should come south. That's the balancing. But it is these same politicians that today they will tell us that there must be religious balancing, geographical balancing, and tomorrow they will say another thing because it's about their interest. And that's why if you are wise enough, the best way you can break their back is to vote. Get your PVC. Be smart. Concerning the man that say another man's political career will end, I laugh. Mr. Vincent Ogbulafor once said PDP will rule for the next 60 years in this country. The PDP didn't live to see the next election cycle. What does that teach you? No man is anybody's God. Didn't they say Mr. Timi Silva's political career was over at a point when he left the governorship in Bayelsa State? Is that not the same Mr. Timi Silva that is Minister for Petroleum Resources now? Minister of State for Petroleum Resources. So that's to show you that no man is any man's God. No man can determine anybody's political career. Don't let politicians deceive you. Shine your eye.